Calling the meeting to order at 9:03. My name is Shap Smith, and I am the town and village moderator. I would ask today that people turn off their cell phones except for emergency response personnel. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and live streamed on Morristown's website and GMA TV's channel. And for those who came through the front door today, just a pitch to sign up and scan the new information for the town of Morristown that gives you everything about meetings that are happening, closings, those kind of things. Easily downloaded by actually scanning the QR code. For those of us, or for those who don't know how to do it, just ask your children or grandchildren. They'll tell you how to do it. Seated to my left are select board members, not in any particular order, but Don McDowell, Christopher Palermo, Laura Streets, Richard Craig, George Cormier. We also have our town manager, Brent Raymond, and finance director, Tina Sweet. Seated in back, we have at the town of Morristown table, we have the assistant town clerk treasurer, Mitzi Fleming, and we also have Sarah Haskins, who is our town clerk. Judy Albery is sitting right here in front of the computers. If you have any questions for her, you can see any of them if you have any questions or need assistance. Members of the Morristown Soccer Club Eurotrip team are serving pie for breakfast as a fundraiser. Donations for their 2025 soccer trip to Italy are appreciated. Thank you to all the generous community members who donated pies today. The town clerk's office is having a raffle for 2025 Morristown Dog Tag #1. So see the town of Morristown table in the back to enter. They will be drawing the winner shortly after 11 a.m. at the conclusion of the presentations. You have to be present to win that prize. Morristown, as many of you know, now votes all town and school officials by Australian ballot. All candidates must submit a consent of candidate form and a nominating petition containing 30 signatures of Morristown registered voters. The deadline for submitting petitions is 5 p.m. on Monday, January 27th, 2025. So again, 5 p.m. on Monday, January 27th, 2025. See the town clerk's table for petitions and more information. I'll just say, as somebody who violated this rule last year, it is very much appreciated for you to get your petitions in by the Board of Civil Authority, because otherwise it's a write-in candidate and those ballots have to be counted. So it would be appreciated if people could get their petitions in. On behalf of the town of Morristown, we want to thank the staff at People's Academy for their assistance with this second annual Community Day, especially Michelle Walker and Brian Rafferty for their coordination and setup. I want to also thank Peter Guillen and GMA TV for the audio and video of today's events. So I just want to, we'll talk a little bit about the protocol, but we're going to switch things up. The select board is going to do its budget presentation, and then we are going to hear from community organizations, and then we're going to do the Q&A after that. So that's the changed order of things. So now let's talk about meeting protocol. We will follow Robert Rules of Order for the meeting today. Anyone wishing to speak must come forward to the microphone, and it's very important for you to state your full name before addressing the assembly. Comments by the public or members of the body must be addressed to the moderator. One of the reasons we do that is sort of to try to take the heat out of the room. In addressing questions individually to people can get personalized, and why don't you personalize everything towards me? I can handle it. Speeches must be confined to the merits of the question. If a member of the public has already spoken on a topic, they will not be recognized again until others have first been given the opportunity to comment. Members of the public shall be afforded a maximum of 2 minutes each time they speak on a topic and a maximum of speaking 2 times per topic. There will be a timekeeper today to be fair to everyone attending. I'd like to remind folks that there continues to be pie and coffee in back. So if during the meeting you want to get some more coffee or pie, please feel free to do so. So we'll now move into the meeting agenda, and the warned articles will be first. We will talk about the budget summary and town financials, and speaking for the town will be Brett Raymond, who will give a brief overview of the draft budget. Brent?
Thank you, Shap. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see everybody here this morning. I want to express my appreciation to all the nonprofits that serve this community and for all the residents here today that are invested in informing themselves and learning about the nonprofits that serve us. I gave a budget presentation, my proposed budget to the Selectboard on December 4th, so I won't go through that detail today. I intend to go over some fast facts for my proposed fiscal year 25-26 budget. Happy to follow up with anybody today or in the future if you have questions. And as always, the proposed town budget is on the website. If you can't find it on the website or you just want to connect directly, please do reach out to me and town administration, and we'd be glad to share the presentation with the numbers as well as speak to you about any questions or concerns you have. So again, this is just a fast facts overview. I don't want to take up too much time today so that you can all learn about the nonprofits that serve you. And I'll begin with general government. For insurance, property, workers' comp, and unemployment insurance increased $133,000 or 37% for the fiscal year 25-26 budget that's upcoming. Salaries and benefits, again, just for general government, salaries decreased by 13.7% or $144,000. The town manager's proposed budget does not include funding a full-time recreation employee. We have hired a new economic and community development coordinator, and she will be in a hybrid position, assuming multiple responsibilities, including rec roles. Health insurance increased on average of approximately 22%, and dental insurance increased 5.25% across all departments. Communications and computers under general government decreased office supplies and copier expenses to reflect more current usage and pricing. We're trying to move more people to utilize online resources when available so that we can cut down on printing and copier costs. But we understand that not everybody has the technology available to them, so we always make available to anybody who requests printed copies. Software programs decreased $12,000 or approximately 18% due to new software being purchased in prior years and now paying annual fees. Other purchase services for audio-visual operators decreased approximately $5,000 or 65%. This is a result of hiring contracted per diem individuals rather than using town staff who, when they're supporting committees and boards, are oftentimes being paid overtime. So we're consciously making an effort to hire per diems so that the town taxpayers do not have to pay overtime wages. Essential care managed services, computer systems contracts decreased by $2,200 or 8% as a result of seeking out new vendors, and Judy Elberry adding technical support to her responsibilities, which is saving the town thousands of dollars a month. Professional services increased $38,000 due to personnel, union contract negotiation, consultation, and project consultations. We have two unions that represent one the highway and one the police, and EMS and admin are now a recognized union shop. Recreation. In my budget proposal on December 4th, we were facing difficulties with finding a location. The high school gymnasium will not be available this summer. At the time that I had to present my budget, we hadn't found a solution to address location and some other liability matters, but we were in negotiations with a nonprofit. Unfortunately, that nonprofit, the program was shut down. Your administrative team here continued to work on solutions even during and after my budget presentation. And I'm happy to share that we've located a facility, a space for outdoor and indoor to be able to run a summer program. The proposed summer recreation camp program would be limited to 75 children due to space constraints and other liability issues. We've made the program self-sustaining, so there's no impact to the bottom line. And by creating a program with less travel and more local activities and events and raising rates. So a presentation will be provided at Monday's Selectboard meeting with further details on how we propose to address the liability concerns. And I just want to thank Sarah, our town clerk, Gail Beck, Judy, Tina, and Alice Townsend for all the work they put into finding solutions to address the concerns that we all have. To move on, county tax has increased to $97,000, or approximately a 10.8% increase to the residents of Morristown. Appropriations, budgeted cemetery, Morristown Centennial Library, we moved those from general government to a separate, distinct budget line item. Uncompensated absences increased by $12,000, or approximately 23% in anticipation of paying employees that are retiring. Police, wages increased in anticipation of hiring part-time officers. Communications and technology, an increase of roughly $6,000 for IT services for police via acquiring a new essential care contract that they had never had before. We want to make sure that our communications and technology for our police department and first responders are all secure and always active and operating. Maintain vehicles and equipment, that has increased by approximately $14,000. A new cruiser will be purchased in the fiscal year. Fire, part-time employee wages. As you all know, our fire department is volunteer, and several dedicated individuals. In the state of Vermont, it's difficult to find EMS, it's difficult to find fire, and I think we all should consider ourselves fortunate at the number of people that we have willing to volunteer for our fire department. The wages did increase approximately $37,000, or 40%, more members and more calls. They don't just respond, as you know, to calls for fires. They respond to motor vehicle accidents. They often respond in tandem with EMS, and they have a lot of responsibilities beyond fire. Communications and technology for the fire department decreased $6,000, or 33.3%. We reduced radio purchases. We feel that the radios that they have, we can extend purchases of new ones out to at least another fiscal year. Maintain vehicles and equipment. There's going to be an increase of $10,370, or approximately 7.2% for purchase of a new tanker truck. EMS personnel. The amount of overtime that a handful of EMS employees work is staggering. We are proactively working to recruit qualified EMS members, but I just, on a daily basis, am so impressed with the dedication that this community has in the EMS members that serve either full-time, part-time, or as volunteers. So I just want to publicly commend them as well. There are increased costs in personnel. We want to increase the full-time staff to 7 full-time positions instead of 6, and we're hiring per diem employees. We're aggressively trying to seek out qualified per diem employees so that we can have EMS online 24/7 and manned with people that have the necessary certifications. Replacement equipment for EMS decreased approximately $24,000 or 75%. We're only purchasing a simplex vehicular repeater for both ambulances. Last year we purchased a number of radios, and I'm working with my team to figure out how we might be able to spread costs of expensive technology such as radios out year by year rather than taking big hits in certain years and then, replacing radios and other equipment on a yearly basis as they age rather than having big purchases in one particular year. Building repair and maintenance services decreased approximately $7,000 or 23%. This past fiscal year, kitchen improvements were completed and the facility does need work. I applied for a MERP grant, energy efficiency grant. We did receive funding from the state for that grant. Unfortunately, the EMS portion of it was not funded. I intend to approach the state again in a few months to see if we might be able to take advantage of additional funds that might not be expended by the state. But unfortunately, for EMS, that portion of our grant application was not funded. Maintained vehicles and equipment. Machinery and equipment replacement decreased $40,000 or 100%. We're deferring the purchase of a new monitor defibrillator until next fiscal year. They feel that we can get away with another year of using the current monitor and defibrillator and a couple others that are in use. Highway, trucks and equipment. We're estimating to decrease fuel by approximately $26,000 or 22%, estimating less usage due to a hauling contract that we hope to secure for Duhamel Pit, which will create more efficiencies in the vehicles that are being used to haul sand and gravel out of the pit and free up time for our highway department during the summer months so that they can do more ditching, road work, and repairs to our infrastructure. Plow blades, technology in plow blades. We've moved to new plow blades a couple of years ago. We are seeing the benefits of that. But there is an increase in that cost of approximately $5,000 or 33%. Repair parts, another increase, $5,000 or 8%. As a municipality, we're still facing inflationary pressures, and whether that be parts, nuts, bolts, services, etc., we're facing the same inflationary pressures that all of you as individual residents face. We have negotiated for a new uniform contract, and that's a $6,000 savings or 30% in comparison with the current uniform contract. And I just bring up, these $6,000 here and there so that people understand that we are looking everywhere for opportunity to create cost savings for the community. Repairs and maintenance services decreased $10,000 or 9%. We're purchasing 7-year warranties with all new equipment. It's not only the cost of repairs on vehicles that is costly, but this summer when I first arrived on the job here, I was hearing about trucks that were scheduled to go in for repair, and were sitting at the repair shops for 2-3 weeks before they could get in. Like many places in the state and across the country, qualified workers are more difficult to find, and that goes down to people that are repairing our vehicles and our equipment. Replacement equipment is decreasing by $3,200 or 3%. Summer maintenance for highway. We are projecting to decrease chloride usage by $4,000 or approximately 7%. Riprap decrease of $10,000 or 25%. Contract line painting, we're estimating a decrease of $10,000 or 20%. Culverts and improvements, we're estimating a decrease of approximately $6,000 or 38%. This does not mean that we're not going to be actively doing this work. We're aggressively pursuing grant funding from the state and working with partners to try and secure that. Capital infrastructure improvements, an increase of approximately $10,000, and that's specific to just one roadway, Route 12 Elmore Street, due to safety concerns. We have a narrow roadway in that section of our community that causes safety issues, especially in the winter when we have plows and the width of the roadway isn't sufficient for our plow trucks to drive safely through. Operating and maintaining buildings. Heating, fuel, and propane decrease of approximately $5,000 or 19%. We use the Government Energy Information Administration, EIA, for predicting future pricing. Duhamel Pit, I'm happy to say that just a few weeks ago, our Act 250 lawsuit was completed. We're already on to a next phase of negotiating an administrative amendment and actively pursuing that. But pit maintenance expected decrease of approximately $22,500 or 90%. Phase 3 operations decrease of approximately $47,500 or 95%. There's a contractor hauling increase of $90,000 because we've never relied on contractors. But we believe that if we hire a contractor, that'll not only improve efficiency of hauling because they'll have the specific vehicles to maximize hauling materials out. It'll reduce wear and tear on town vehicles. And again, it'll increase time that our highway crew can be working on our roadways rather than hauling sand and gravel out of Duhamel Pit. So sand and gravel in general, there's an increase of $97,250 or 149% to reflect accurate usage. Revenues, licenses and permits. We're projecting a zoning permits decrease of approximately $15,000, and that's a result of less development in the community. Intergovernmental increased $10,000 due to state aid to highways increasing. Police, there's a decrease of just under $20,000, in part to no longer receiving a COPS grant. EMS fees increased to approximately $65,000, and that's partially due to being able to now bill some non-transports that are now covered by Medicaid and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Paramedic intercept fees increase of $4,000. Fines and forfeits projected increase of $8,000 due to expected delinquent tax penalties. And recreation, we expect to increase by $45,150 or approximately 40%. Investment income. It's estimated to increase by approximately $128,000 or 284% via use of a new tax anticipation note sweep investment vehicle. This is offset by $139,515 in interest payment expenses on the tax anticipation note, but the total net income increase is approximately $33,000. And then on other financing sources that we would like to use for the fiscal year budget is unallocated fund balance usage of $500,000. And that's the same amount as it is this fiscal year. So I know I went through a lot of line items very quickly. If you have questions, feel free to speak with me today. Tina Sweet is also here, invaluable in putting this budget together. If we don't connect today, always available to speak or meet in person or be able to forward more information to you via email if that's easier. So again, thank you to all the nonprofits of this community, not only the ones that are here today, but every one of them that serves this community. And thank you for all of you that came out today and that show genuine interest in our community and informing yourselves. Happy Saturday.
Thanks, Brent. And as I said before, we're going to actually change things up and do the presentations from the nonprofits and then open things up for questioning. And while I was listening to Brent, I was also just sort of looking around the looking around the gym, and take a moment at some point in time, because this sort of tells the history of a lot of the community. And you see the names of people, you see sort of the ebbs and flows, and it's a pretty incredible thing to remember how much history this community has, and how rich a community we have. And sometimes we forget to sort of take it in. And I'm editorializing here now outside of my role as moderator, but I just think that it's when we're talking about what we're doing for the community, these banners are sort of about what we're doing for the community, for our kids, and for ourselves. So now we'll go with the nonprofits, and the first person scheduled to speak is Carol Lauber from Morristown Alliance for Culture and Commerce.
Good morning. I don't know who gave me the big applause, but I really appreciate that. Good timing to go first too, because the first thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was MAC's history. Also, I don't know how familiar everyone is with MAC, but MAC was conceived out of a town vision in 1981, and it's started shortly thereafter, and one of its very first initiatives that they accomplished was River Arts, among other projects. So it is, again, like a very visible sign in our community, like the signs here in the room, about how when communities come together, you can really accomplish some very tangible, visible things for your community. And so that is what MAC is. It's our community town organization. So we work with all the organizations, businesses. MAC actually stands for Morrisville Alliance for Culture and Commerce. And like I said, River Arts. But right now, MAC has done, and what you see and know MAC as mostly are the beautification and art projects around town, which is the flowers and the lampposts that come up here to the high school, along with, we hold our events, Festival of Lights. We work with the town on Rocktoberfest. But we've had a full-time employee with the town, Tricia Follert, who retired. And so with that change came a reorganization within MAC, and new board members coming on. And it is interesting how things in towns change over and generations move on and new people step in. And that is very much the feel right now within MAC, and with the interactions we have with other community organizations in the town and the town. So it's a very exciting time of a lot of things that can be started and done right now. And so one of the things that MAC is doing right now is we're redoing our website so that it will be a community resource. It will be held information of not just the businesses and events happening in town, but also the community organizations. And so that's actually kind of a long term, it takes a couple of years to, hopefully that will be a great resource for everyone in the community. And I think speaking again about the board of MAC and the changes, and one of the things we are looking to expand our members as volunteers, committee, but also board, to really represent all of the community. So if anyone's interested in joining MAC, we have information over there, and we would love for you to be part of these kind of exciting changes that are happening in town right now. So I think I'm done for this morning, but thank you all for coming. It's great to see so many people here today.
Thanks, Carol. We'll now hear from Lamoille Home Health and Hospice, Kathy DeMars.
So good morning, everybody. I'm Kathy DeMars. I'm the Executive Director at Lamoille Home Health and Hospice. Been there for over 30 years, so I know the business pretty darn well. I'm going to quickly just go over some of the services we provide and the amount of visits we do in Morrisville. Many of you know our services from family members that have received them. We provide skilled nursing. We have IV therapy. We do wound care. We do hospice. We have medical social workers. We do prenatal care, we do newborn care, we have physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech therapy, nurses' aides, and homemakers. And that's just our people that are out in the field. In-house, we have billers, people that take care of insurance, we have schedulers. So we have a wide group of people. We currently have 85 employees. 33 of those are nurses that are out in the field or running internal, taking orders from doctors. So we're well-staffed. We don't use any travelers. Our staff stay, and our staff are really happy, which is great. We also have 40 volunteers that see our hospice patients, and they go out to the homes as we need them. We also have a board of directors that are 12 more volunteers that come and help us guide our business. Last year in Morrisville, we did over 12,000 visits. I can quickly break that down a little bit. Our chaplain made 135 visits. Our home health aides made almost 1,600 visits. Our nurses made over 4,600 visits. PTs made over 1,800 visits. Personal care attendants made almost 1,500 visits, and then there's some other visits in between. For the county, we made over 40,000 visits last year. So we do a lot of business with I think a small amount of people. How we get paid is through Medicare, Medicaid, commercial insurance, workers' comp insurance, and through donations. And the biggest thing that we face every single day is we can't raise our prices. We get paid what we get paid from the Center of Medicare and Medicaid. So we really count on donations from our community and from families that we've served. Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy. Now the Morristown Conservation Commission, Ron Stancliffe.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know everyone here. Every year, faces change. But myself, I have lived in this town all my life, and I love it. And for you people who don't know the difference between Morristown and Morrisville, today we're in the town of in the village of Morrisville. But Morrisville's in the town of Morristown, so don't forget. Morristown was here first. I would just like to let everyone know that we are not really a nonprofit. The Conservation Commissions in Vermont was established by state statute. And the town fathers had a choice of whether they wanted to have a commission within their town. Now, I don't know the date of when Morristown Conservation became a Morristown Conservation, but I do recall going to a meeting years ago, and I don't think I joined at that time, but historically, what our commission is written up in the bylaws. Now, the bylaws were established by state statute, So when the town of Morristown Selectboard determined that there would be a commission in the town, they adopted the bylaws that the state had written up. Anyway, one of the hard things to get across to the voters in the town is that how we use the funds that we may gain from taxes. Now, the bylaws are very clear of what we're established for. And it is for working with town landowners in the town that might be interested in conservation of their land and directing them to organizations that are big enough to provide funds to assist them in conservation. But our group, we are very active. You may see us at Green Up Day when we set up to used to be at the Oxbow. Now, it might still be, we get flooded out down there about every year now. So we also oversee some of the land that you town people own in a way. If you've not heard of the Morristown Forest, it's a 350-acre parcel of land off the Mud City Loop that...
Ron?
Yes. I'm sorry, running out of time?
No, you ran out of time. There's a difference. Sort of like Morristown, Morrisville.
I'm sorry. Did I say Morrisville Town Forest? I meant Morristown. Thank you for the correction.
Thanks. Thanks, Ron.
So,
Hey, Ron. Ron.
you know what? When I mention that to my wife, she gets mad.
So you're out of time.
I'm sorry.
All right.
But anyway, we would appreciate being on the article and voters to assist us in our programs. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Ron. So Heather Hobart now from Lamoille Restorative Center.
Good morning. I'm walking quickly. I'll talk quickly, try to be as fast as possible. My name is Heather Hobart. I'm the Executive Director of Lamoille Restorative Center, as Shap said. And we've served thousands of people in the county for more than 45 years. So we have a long history here. A lot of people know us as our former name, which was Lamoille Court Diversion. So some of you might have experience with us in many different ways. Last year, we served over 664 people. More than half of those were in the legal system. We had over 80% success rate with youth in that system and 90% success rate with adults in the system. And we served 52 victims of crime last year alone. So we're in the courthouse, we're making calls, meeting in our office in Hyde Park every week. And we're asking people to take active accountability for the harm that they caused. And we're helping people connect to any kind of health care they might need, mental health or substance use treatment on a daily basis. Often the life-changing work that we do is with our volunteers' help. So we have about 20 volunteers. And they're meeting with people to talk about the harm that they caused and how they want to make it right with the community. So if you're interested in that work, please come see me. I'd be happy to talk with you about it. We always need help in the volunteer realm. What people might not know about us is that half of our 13 programs are actually not in the legal realm at all. They're in the prevention realm. Our school engagement program is meant to help kids who are struggling in going to school. Last year, we served 135 kids in this community who are struggling to go to school, and we had a 90% success rate in that program. We have a program for young people who are transitioning from foster care to help be successful from that experience. We have a jobs program for young people ages 15 to 23 who are looking to help get some experience around employment. So if you know people in that age range who are looking for employment experience, please come see me. So this support that we receive from Morristown is really important to us. It really helps with our 664 participants. I looked this morning at a few quotes we ask our case managers to write. And so I just quickly wrote them down. I'm going to read them back to you really quickly. An 18-year-old just graduated high school and is living on his own with no support from parents. He's barely getting by on his small income, so paying for this allows him to buy food rather than going hungry. A 16-year-old is working on a farm this summer and has no way to get to and from work. We're contributing money toward a used bike from Chuck's Bikes for $500, which will help him get to work every day. Chuck's Bike is a huge collaborator with us, as you all, I'm sure, know. He's like our own partner. An 18-year-old is living on her own in a trailer, which had no running water or heat. The water had been fixed, but there was no hot water, and this is affecting her hygiene. The total cost for propane is $650,
Yep.
and LRC is working with another state agency, to help contribute. So those contributions alone were very small, an average about $130. So we really appreciate that support. It's our way of helping young people to get on their feet. So we'd also like to say that that contribution that you're making to us helps support the other organizations within the community because we collaborate with them so much. So thank you very much for your support. If you're interested in finding out more, come see me. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Heather. We now have Carol Lang-Godden from Lamoille Family Center.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for bearing with these chairs. They're obviously not comfortable. I'm Carol Lang-Godden. I'm the executive director at Lamoille Family Center. I've worked there for almost 18 years. I know I look a lot younger and I shouldn't have been there 18 years, but I have been. So I'm just going to try to cover some quick highlights and fill you in on some Morrisville specific data. So in fiscal year 24, we have 30 staff at the Family Center who reached more than 5,000 children, youth, parents, and caregivers throughout all of Lamoille Valley. And the Morrisville specific data, so our Children's Integrated Services team works with children prenatally up to age 6. And in that program, we provided 3,177 home visits, which is an astonishing number. In Morrisville, that is 26% of Morrisville families received those visits. Our holiday project distributed gifts to 342 children in Lamoille County. 88 of those kids live in Morrisville, which is 26%. So it's a huge amount for Morrisville. Our emergency outreach and concrete supports, which provides things like gas cards, grocery cards, help with electric shutoffs, served 25% of Morrisville children and families. Our playgroups served 135 kids and 107 families. Of those, 22% of those families live here in Morrisville or Morristown. Ron will have to help me clarify which after. Our youth and young adult program supported 32 youth and young adults in crisis. 8 of those youth, or 25%, live right here in Morrisville, Morristown. Our Send a Kid to Camp program awarded 143 summer camp scholarships. And of those, 34% of those kids lived here in Morrisville. And of those, 45% of the total funds went, in fact, probably to Morrisville Rec. So I would encourage that program to continue. The Healthy Lamoille Valley program involved hundreds of students, teachers, parents, and coaches in prevention workshops and programming, offering support and resources to the schools, businesses, town administrators, and residents of the Lamoille Valley. And of that, 7 community events were held in Morrisville, and it's likely that you saw Healthy Lamoille Valley staff at a lot more events than just 7. Welcome Baby Visits served 79 families with a brand new baby. As you can see, there's so many of you here in this community. Our newest babies we want to support just as much, and so we serve those children. Parent education, we held free workshops to 85 parents and caregivers. 19 seconds, that's it. I feel like I've captured a bulk of what's happening, and I also just want to highlight how all of these nonprofits really work well together. we're not working on solitary basis. We're working together to support families in this community. And so thank you all for being here. Thank you to the Select Board for all the work you're doing. And thank you for your continued support of the Family Center.
Carol wins a prize because she. All right, Becky Gagne, who is with the Lamoille Child Advocacy Center, Special Investigation Unit, and Clarina Howard Nichols.
Good morning, everyone. Yes, I apologize. I actually get to speak twice, so bear with me. My name is Becky Gagne. I'm the Executive Director at the Clarina Howard Nichols Center and also a Morristown resident. Clarina's mission is to end domestic and sexual violence, human trafficking, and stalking through advocacy, outreach, and education, prevention, and social change. We are in our 44th year of providing services to survivors of Lamoille County and beyond. Our services include a 24-hour hotline, an emergency shelter, legal advocacy, medical advocacy, housing advocacy, and outreach and education presentations and trainings to organizations, schools, businesses in Lamoille County on topics related to domestic and sexual violence. We have 2 locations. We have a confidential shelter and a public community center. That public center is at 120 Northgate Plaza. We're in the left side of the H.A. Minash building. Anyone is welcome to come and visit us there anytime. During the past year, Clarina served 473 individuals. That was a 20% increase over the previous year. We provided shelter to 47 individuals, including 35 adults and 12 children. We responded to 1,257 hotline calls. These numbers do not include the hundreds of youth and adults that we reached through our outreach and prevention work in schools, businesses, and communities. Clarina provided services to 81 individuals in the town of Morristown in FY24. Our appropriations request to the town of Morristown is $1,750. We received funding from 11 towns. The amounts range from $150 to $3,300 for a total of $11,770 last year. Funding from the town of Morristown supports the continued availability of high-quality, no-cost education, outreach, advocacy, and shelter services. Funding supports expenses such as utilities, food for our shelter, professional development, and emergency needs for survivors. Our current budget is $798,000. 84% of our budget is allocated to salaries and benefits. The remaining 16% supports costs like operating our shelter, rent at our community center, insurance, mileage, and more. 60% of our revenue is state and federal funding. The remaining 40% is raised from individual donors, private foundations, fundraising events, and town appropriations. We have a small staff of 8 full-time employees and 5 volunteers who answer our hotline at home overnight and on weekends. We are governed by a board of directors. We currently have 8 members, including 4 residents of Morristown. Thank you for this opportunity to be with you today and to share a bit about our work at Clarina. Please stop over and ask any questions or chat when we're done. Thank you. All right, time resets. Awesome, thank you. This one's a little shorter. I am the board president for the Lamoille County Child Advocacy Center and Special Investigation Unit, which is based in Hyde Park. We're currently hiring a new executive director, which is the only staff person for that organization, so I'm here to represent the CAC today. The CAC-SIU is dedicated to investigating, prosecuting, and providing victim advocacy services for child sexual abuse, serious child physical abuse, adult sexual assaults, and crimes against vulnerable adults. The CAC-SIU is a collaborative partnership between the state's attorney's office, the Vermont State Police, the Sheriff's Department, Morristown Police Department, Stowe Police Department, the Clarina Howard Nichols Center, Morrisville Probation Parole, the Department for Children and Families, and various medical, school, and mental health providers. During the past year, the CAC-SIU supported the investigation of 123 incidents through Lamoille County. 105 of those investigations were related to allegations of physical and sexual violence against children. 18 of those investigations were related to allegation of violence against adults. Our appropriations request to the town of Morristown is $3,375. Last year, we received a total of $13,771 from towns across Lamoille County. Town funds supplement our state and federal funding. Town funds are primarily used to support specialized training for our core team. Our current budget is $220,000. The CACSIU is a nationally accredited child advocacy center. This designation means we meet rigorous national standards that ensure that allegations of child sexual and physical abuse are investigated and prosecuted while providing coordinated support services to victims and their families. Thank you.
Next up is River Arts, Amy Noyes.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being here today. I wanted to talk about some of the same themes a lot of other people have spoken about this morning. First of all, I would like to reiterate that a lot of the organizations you hear from today, we do work closely together. We're not working in silos, and I think that gives us a lot of bang for the buck. And so I'm here to thank you for the appropriation that you have given River Arts over the past 24 years, and will hopefully give us again this year. Thank you very much. Who was here 25 years ago and remembers the Orton Family Foundation coming to town and doing Morristown, Our Town? A lot of groups grew out. That one of the reasons Morristown is such a vibrant community is because of that exercise 25 years ago. And River Arts is one of the things that grew out of that as well. And it's really been great to grow up with this community over the last 25 years. I wanted to give you a few statistics. I know numbers are hard to hear instead of read, but I just want to demonstrate how involved we are in this community every day. We go out into schools, into centers where people gather. Our mission is arts for everyone. So if they can't come to us, we try to bring arts experiences to them. So some of those programs include kinder arts, youth camps, youth program classes in the school and in our building, adult programs, elder arts. We're involved in Wednesday Night Live, Morrisville Pride Day, Rocktoberfest. Art 100 is our big, what we call friend raiser, and that's coming up on March 8th. So mark your calendars. If you're not familiar with Art 100, you buy a ticket for 2 people. That ticket allows you to bring home 1 piece of art. We pull numbers out of a bingo ball machine, and you get to go actually take your piece of art off the wall. It's a ton of fun. And again, March 8th, that's coming up. Our other big event is Viva in the Garden. It's an outdoor garden party, and we invite you all to take part in that as well if you're around in the summertime in July. We're part of Festival of Lights. We helped the library start and run Morristown Free University this year, and we'll be doing it last year, and we'll be doing it again this year. So all of those things and more added up to nearly 5,000 participants in 2024. We've taken advantage of 210 volunteers, giving us 1,020 hours to make all those things happen. So again, community partnerships and volunteerism really help make that money go a long way. So thank you very much. And I'm in the last table on this side of the room. If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. If you're familiar with River Arts, you know that we're going through a transition of executive directors right now. I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees. Our new executive director will be here on Wednesday. We're very excited about that. And I invite you to come in and meet him. His name is Jonah Rabinowitz, and he is full of energy and has a ton of experience. And we are so excited to welcome him. And one other thing.
No.
No?
Right.
Thanks.
Already giving you extra time.
Thanks to the fire department.
Yeah, thanks. We'll now hear from Salvation Farms, Sean Morrissey.
Good morning, everybody. I'm going to try to adjust this. Hopefully my time won't be, all right, I'll just start. So my name is Sean Morrissey. I am the Communications and Outreach Manager at Salvation Farms. I just started at the very end of October. Thank you all so much for the opportunity to be here today to speak with you all in regards to this appropriation. Most of you I'm gathering are familiar in some part with Salvation Farms over the years. Started in 2004 by Teresa Snow. And there's about 8 of us on staff. There is 8 of us on staff. If you're not familiar with Salvation Farms, the premise is simple and beautiful. There's food out there on farms, fresh, edible, ugly food, but good food, and we get that good food to good people. We're doing a lot. Our gleaning programs, our volunteer opportunities for a number of folks in the community, and also our Vermont Commodities Program is a program that we are in the midst of developing for minimally processing that gleaned food. This year, we gleaned over 60,000 pounds of fresh food from local farms, and that food went directly to 62 community food sites. We worked with about 36 farms throughout Lamoille County and the NEK. And we had about 164 volunteers work with Salvation Farms, a few of you in this room right now, so thank you. And that amounted to about 600 hours of time volunteered. About thousands of that gleaned fresh food came to Morrisville and Morristown. We estimate about 14,000 pounds of that food came right to folks in this community, which is awesome. And we work with a number of the folks in this room to make that possible. So your support, your continued support is super important for our operations, and we're really appreciative of all that you have given us. We work directly in town, and for 2025, Kat's a little bit out of the bag, but I'll just give you a teaser. It's not 100% set in stone, but we are looking out to build a community kitchen and food facility right here in downtown. And so we're working on it. It's something that you'll hear more about in the coming months, but your support will certainly help us make that a reality. So thank you all so very much. And I'm right over here if you have any questions. Thanks, y'all.
Thanks, Summer. We'll now hear from Meals on... thank you, Sean. I mixed up. Now we'll hear from Summer Daniels from Meals on Wheels.
Hey, good morning. My name is Summer Daniels. I'm the Executive Director of Meals on Wheels in Lamoille County. I'm here today with Laura Bapp, our volunteer coordinator, and also one of our volunteer drivers, Kyle Capiga. And we would like to take a moment to share with you all the good work that we've been doing at our organization and how we aim to serve your family members and neighbors in 2025. So Meals on Wheels of Lamoille County not only addresses food insecurity, but also offers companionship and a sense of community to those we serve. Our mission is to improve health and enhance quality of life for older members of our community. We provide essential services such as nutritious meal deliveries and well-check visits to seniors who may be isolated or facing challenges due to their age or health issues. Many older individuals face significant barriers in accessing healthy meals or social connections, which can lead to declining health and increased feelings of loneliness. Our dedicated team is working hard every single day to ensure that every individual we serve feels valued and connected. So last year, Meals on Wheels of Lamoille County, prepared 57,629 meals and performed 50,919 well-check visits. We provided nourishment and care to 284 recipients, 63 of which are here in Morristown. While our list of recipients continues to grow, we are proud to say we have not had to utilize a wait list. And thanks to our dedicated team and volunteers, we have been able to accommodate any resident in need of our services. We're also hosting community-style lunches every Wednesday at the Hub, located at 21 Munson Avenue. These lunches, they've grown to be a really popular weekly get-together that's fostering laughter, companionship, creativity, and education. Now, as we look forward into 2025, we are committed to expanding our services and reaching more seniors. We aim to enhance our meal variety and increase community engagement opportunities. So there's so much to tell you, and we want to tell you all about it. So if you have a moment, come on over to the table over here. You can also call and join us on Wednesdays for our community lunches, or check out our website, which is mowlc.org. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll now hear from Lamoille Housing Partnership, Angie Harbin.
Good morning, everyone. I am Angie Harbin. I am the Executive Director of Down Street Housing and Community Development, and I'm here on behalf of the Lamoille Housing Partnership. Currently, Down Street has a service contract with LHP to operate the organization in anticipation of a merger later this year. The number one question I get is, are you going to change the name? The answer is no. We will continue to operate as the Lamoille Housing Partnership in Lamoille County. Lamoille Housing Partnership operates 325 affordable homes in Lamoille County and Hardwick. About 25% of those homes are occupied by folks who were experiencing homelessness at the time that they moved in. About 20% house older adults. So all of those LHP, that housing will continue to exist. Down Street will be operating that housing. And in addition to those general operations, we'll also be providing housing-based support services. So those are services to help our residents maintain their housing stability and also meet basic needs. We'll also be offering a full range of homeownership services in Lamoille County. So this is everything from individuals trying to figure out how to buy their first home all the way through foreclosure counseling. We also will offer grants and loans to lower income homeowners who need to make home repairs, health and safety related home repairs. So we are really excited to be here in Lamoille County. We'll have, actually do have already, an office in, I'm not sure if it's Morristown or Morrisville, but at Village Center Apartments in this area. And I think that's actually everything I have. I am super early, but if you have any questions, I'm here in the back.
Thanks very much. And now we'll hear from Capstone Services, Allison Calderara.
Good morning, everyone. Capstone Community Action is an anti-poverty agency which we serve the whole central Vermont region. This year we'll serve in all of our service sites, we will serve over 10,000 Vermonters. And we have a site here in Morrisville that is our Lamoille Integrated Service Center. One of the aspects that's really important about Capstone is that we meet people in crisis and then engage them with the tools that they need to lift themselves out of poverty and into better lives. So I'm really proud to be offering those services here in Morrisville. I'd like to tell you a little bit about some of the services that we provided. We provide Head Start and Early Head Start early education programs, business development, financial education, food and nutrition resources, housing counseling, tax preparation, teen parent education, emergency heating assistance, home weatherization, workforce training, transportation, and more. As you can see, we offer a full continuum of service here in Morrisville. Last year, we served 474 residents, which I think reflects the deep needs in your community. 21 households with 47 family members were able to keep their homes warm with our heating assistance program last year. 146 individuals in 76 households worked with housing counselors to find and retain affordable and safe housing. And I think that you are well aware of the affordable housing crisis that we have right now in our community, and Capstone is there every day to help folks. 27 children worked with Head Start and were seen and had a wonderful daycare experience at our Lamoille Integrated Service Center. 8 households received emergency household repairs, such as furnaces or water heaters. When someone cannot afford a repair, Capstone is there to help. 12 households were weatherized at no charge. This is an important service that we provide, and one thing that I would like to say about this is that when we can reduce someone's energy costs, we can keep people independent and safe and healthy in their homes. This is especially important for the senior citizens of Morrisville. 84 people attended one-on-one financial counseling classes to be able to better manage their household budgets. And 13 entrepreneurs received counseling and technical assistance on starting or growing a business. This is very important for your local economy. And I can see I have 10 seconds left, and I think the last thing I'd like to say of importance here is that 86 residents had their taxes prepared at no charge by our Capstone volunteers. And that's, again, we get the refunds and we help invest that back in your local economy. Thank you very much for all your support. We deeply appreciate being part of your community and being there to help your residents.
Thanks, Allison. All right, so now we're going to go to questions, comments from the public. And so I would now open the floor for any questions or comments from the public regarding the draft budget. Right? So if you could come to the microphone, state your name.
Nobody's going to be this short after me. Oh, hey, pretty cool.
And just a reminder, you have 2 minutes. So yeah.
Nancy Banks, Elmer Mountain Road. I'm up to speak in support of the Conservation Commission's request for us to have a warrant article to allow money to be set aside for a conservation fund. I know, and I have spoken to the board about keeping taxes down. So this is, I know that I'm also somebody who's concerned about taxes. At the same time, the town is developing, and it's really critical that when vital pieces of land come on the market, which happens in a matter of seconds, that we have funds available to take those pieces of property and protect them. And we don't have that flexibility. And so I think it's really important that we consider setting up a fund that has some tax support, and also urge the Conservation Commission to seek their own donations. But I think it's really important for the town that we have a fund that is available, so when these really critical pieces of property come up, we have the ability to move quickly and prevent that. And we saw in the town forest that a piece of property that nobody thought would be bought privately was. And so now we have a piece of private property, and we know that the importance is to keep large swaths of land, which helps to protect the wildlife that's really important to our town. So, thank you.
Thanks, Nancy.
Good morning, I'm Sandra Zabel, Sun Valley Road. I'm rather new to this community. I've only been here about 2.5 years, and this is only the third budget I've had any interest in or been part of. I did have a request or a suggestion that would help folks like me, to Mr. Raymond and whoever else publishes the budget. For me, it would be helpful to know the percent of the total budget that each department is represents, if that's possible. And I don't know if also the nonprofits or the line items, that would be helpful. And the total they're requesting and the percent that represents at some point in time. Maybe you already have done that on other formats than this, but the final format, that would be helpful to know. Thank you. By the way, I love it here.
Hello, I'm Rachel Duffy. I don't live in the village, so I live in Morristown. It was really heartening to hear that the rec program for the summer is going to be up and running, and I'm guessing some of that is in response to community concern, both on December 4th and at the meeting with George and Don. And I'm curious about the status of the library at this point, the library funding.
Don, do you want to?
At this point, this is Don McDowell, by the way, and thank you all for coming out for this second annual Pi Day. The library has, and I agree with you about summer rec, and I think the board in general was concerned about summer rec and the possibility of not having a summer rec program next summer. So I just want to extend my appreciation to Brent and Tina and Els and Judy and everyone else at the town office that worked very hard to find a location, which we now have, and to address some of the liability issues and also address some of the financial concerns with the summer rec program. So, and as Brent said, there'll be a bigger and more extensive presentation on this on Monday night. So there'll be more information then. In terms of the library, we have in front of us a proposed budget that does adjust the appropriation from last year. And the board hasn't yet hasn't made a final decision on that appropriation and what that's going to look like. We have had several meetings with leadership at the library. We've certainly done a lot of homework when it comes to the library and the financial status of the library. We are in a situation right now as a board where we're being asked for a lot of things. There's a lot of wants and a lot of needs out there. And I think everyone in the room can appreciate the fact that we can't get everything we want. We as a board, I'll speak for myself, but I think the board would agree, we as a board need to put together and present as reasonable and responsible a budget as we can. We're looking at a budget right now that the adjustment that we put in for the library would increase the overall budget by 1%. And so those are the concerns that we have. And yet we have great needs when it comes to roads. We have great needs when it comes to sidewalks. Summer rec program we've talked about. Brent, I'm not going to go through Brent's list again, but we all know what the constraints are on this town as well as other towns in the state of Vermont. And so we're having to make the tough decision as to where we're going to allocate this money. Right now, the budget that's out there, the town would be appropriating 50% of the library's budget, almost exactly. And so we'd be asking the library to do the other 50%. I'm anticipating this question today, so I'll just say that I've done some homework on the numbers. I've asked administration for the appropriations for the last 10 years, and I've looked at those pretty carefully. I'd be happy to share that with anybody who would like those numbers. If we go back, not counting last year and the year before, the 8 previous years, the appropriation for the library increased approximately $5,000 a year. On average, it went up and it went down. It wasn't always $5,000. It was closer to $4,900 a year. 2 years ago, when I first got on the board, we were asked for a substantial increase in that appropriation. There was a lot of discussion about the increase in that appropriation, a lot of discussion, both pro and con. I did support the increase in that appropriation, which was over 40%. It was a huge increase. And you can imagine that there was many voices in town that didn't think that such a large appropriation should be granted. But I supported it. And by the way, I just want to say I fully support the library and everything that the library does. The library runs a fantastic program. We are very, very lucky to have that library. I've been an educator for 45 years now, and I've spent 40 of them here in Lamoille County, and I stand behind the library fully. Last year, we increased the appropriation almost 10%. So for 8 years, we were appropriating approximately $4,900 a year more. Those were those first 8 years. The last 2 years, the increase has been closer to $50,000 a year. In fact, it's been just about exactly $50,000 a year. I think when administration gave out their budget this year, their proposed budget this year, and when the select board heard it for the first time, we all asked the question about the adjustment in the library appropriation. Part of it is what I just spoke to, is that the last 2 years there has been a big increase in the appropriation. On top of that, we don't have any departments in town. We don't have any organizations that we appropriate money to that have quite the financial backing that the library does. And the library has an endowment. The library also has fundraising going on. They've also received a substantial donation recently. And when we were approached 2 years ago to increase the library appropriation as much as we did, one of the big reasons for that was the endowment was not doing well. It wasn't necessarily the only reason, but it was certainly one of the very major reasons. That's no longer true. The endowment is doing well. Any of us in the room lucky enough to have any money in the stock market know that the stock market's done well the last couple of years, as has their endowment. For that reason, for those reasons, maybe not entirely those reasons, but for those reasons, I think the select board's having a hard time with all the wants and all the needs that this town has right now, and the fact that we need to put together a responsible budget, a budget that obviously we want to get across the finish line. We want to get all this work done. We want to get these paving projects done. We want to get paving that hasn't happened. Since I've been on the board, there's been really no paving. Sidewalks. There's people in this room that have talked about sidewalks every year for the last 3 years. Our sidewalks need to be fixed up. Those are just a couple of examples, although those are huge, hundreds of thousands of dollars examples. So for those reasons, I think the board is struggling with whether or not to alter the adjustment in the library budget.
Okay. Jane? Yeah. Oh, Chris.
Just to add some context to this conversation, I'm not sure that any of the boards prior to us have ever had a conversation with the trustees of the library regarding, excuse me, the endowment, how much money was in the endowment, its performance. I think it was an important conversation to have with the library trustees this year, just to add some knowledge and some context to why we're proposing what we're proposing and what they're proposing and why they're proposing it. I asked Steph Hoffman, who is the treasurer for the library trustees, for some performance information on the trust over the last 2 years. So she was gracious enough to send me monthly statements for their performance. And the endowment trust is divided into two components. One is essentially all fixed incomes, equities, some alternatives, as well as some cash. The second portion, which is smaller, is predominantly stock holdings in the Union Bank, about 75%, and then cash is the other 25%. The beginning balance in 2023, January 1, there was $1.5 million in that endowment. And over the course of 2023, they had a gain of about $250,000, which is about an 18.9% gain in their portfolio. In beginning January 1, 24 through 11/30, November 30th, 24, they saw an increase of about $292,000, which is about a 15% increase. So the library has gained over the last 2 years about $542,000 in their portfolio. And that doesn't include the $304,000 that they received as a bequest to their library, which has not yet been invested in their Morgan Stanley. It's liquidity that they have available. So when you take a look at the total value over the last 2 years of over $800,000, and all the things that this board has faced over the last 2 years, trying to put together budgets to keep the wheels on the bus, to be able to deliver services 24/7 to our community, we felt, I feel, I don't want to speak for the rest of the board, that at this point in time, the $80,000 that we came in, that we reduced their request this year is certainly sustainable for them, that there's really no reason why the library cannot still provide all the services that they provide to this community. I think it's a conversation that this board and the library needs to have on an annual basis. And so as there's been information put out on Front Porch Forum and on Facebook and News and Citizen and such, there's two sides to every conversation, and I think the Select Board has been pretty patient in terms of our position and verbalizing our position. And I think that as you move forward and make decisions as voters and understand why we're doing the things that we're doing, this information is important, and I appreciate you letting me take the time to at least speak to that.
I just want to add also that so that everyone is aware, again, mentioning that the library is a hybrid. They are not a department of the town. The Select Board and manager have say-so in the fiscal management of all the departments. We do not have that in the library. The fiscal responsibility and accountability falls on the trustees and the executive director. We do fund them. However, they're not a not-for-profit, so they don't go through the normal appropriation period. So that puts us in kind of a no man's land where we're being asked for money, but we have no say-so in how it is spent. We have done huge amounts of research. One of the things I have asked for year after year is, because we own the building, what is the town's financial investment in maintenance? And I believe we now have an estimate on that. I don't want to state that because I have heard, but I think we need to take that into accountability, that the town does have a cash outlay in the maintenance of the building that the library does not. So just some facts.
Okay, Jane?
Hi, I'm Jane Campbell. I live in Morristown. I can tell that a lot of work went into this budget, and I really appreciate it. I don't like taxes. Nobody likes taxes. I would love to hear more about what the library said in your discussions about why they felt this appropriation was still needed. To my mind, taxes are about pooling resources to do the essential things we can't do by ourselves. I can't build a road, I can't maintain a road or a sidewalk by myself, but all together we can make these things happen. And I don't see the library as a luxury, I see it as just as essential. So if any of you have information on what the library side of it was, I'd be interested to hear that about why they feel this is needed. Also, I know endowments sound like a large amount of money. How much are they allowed? I know endowments have restrictions on how much you can spend. So if anybody has that information as well. So what did the library say in your discussions, if you could? Thanks.
Thank you, Jane. I'm not in a position to speak for the library right now, so I'm going to hold back on that. But I will say, I believe it was December 16th, our last select board meeting, the library did make a presentation, and the presentation was videoed, and it is online. So for anybody who wants to hear their presentation, that's available. And I would think that would be the responsible thing for me to do anyways, rather than try and present their presentation.
I'm Nina Church. I live in the village. I second what Jane said about the hard work that you've all put in to make this budget and try to be fair to all the entities that require funds. I think you might be a little bit cutting off your nose to spite your face by taking this chunk out of the library budget. If I were 50 years younger and we're looking for a place to live, I would check out the library in the town for how much they serve different kinds of people and in multiple different ways. I think it says we support our young families. And as you think about how the numbers of children have decreased over the years, people are having fewer children. If there were a town that is as livable and rich and wonderful, and by rich I mean in natural resources, people resources, the library would be a big diamond in that tiara. So.
Cody Hill, Morristown. I just want to thank the select board and Brent in particular. You've been up to my house a few times. And Mr. Sayanage, the new superintendent for the highway department, good guy. I think his budget at a stage just like Brent designed it. And let Mr. Sayanage have the money he needs to pave these roads around here. And let's get on with some real things going on in this town. And the roads are pretty important to get to these libraries and all these other places in town. We need good roads, and it's time that we put money into the roads. So thank you, Brent. Thanks, guys. And me being a critic for the last 2 or 3 years on the roads, you won't hear another peep out of me this year. This year, okay?
It's a long year, Tony.
It's January 4th.
One of the things I learned in politics, Tony, is don't make promises you can't keep.
I'm going to bring my yardstick with me next time.
All right. Thanks, Tony. Leah?
Hi, I'm Leah Hollenberger. I live in Morrisville, and I too also want to thank the Select Board and Brent and the administration because this was a good presentation of the budget. I've been to several of the meetings to learn how your decisions were made and why. I do want to echo Nina and Jane in that I do want you to revisit the question about the library. At the last meeting, December 16th, when the library made the presentation, I learned a lot. I learned that the library came about by a grant that was structured. One of the requirements of the initial grant was that the municipality had to have ongoing contributions, skin in the game for the library, because the donor recognized the importance of having a library be part and parcel fabric of the community, and that the municipality needed to support it. And so that was going in, that was how the library was established, was knowing that the municipality was going to provide funding for the library, and that the donor did not want the library to be dependent upon an endowment. An endowment, $1.5 million endowment, yes, that's good, but you have to protect that because that endowment wants to last in perpetuity. And so while, yes, there's been great gains in the stock market recently, I also remember there's been some big, heavy losses in the stock market, not too far history. And so it ebbs and flows over time. And so it's wonderful that they've had great growth because that's going to help perpetuate that endowment further on down the years as we continue to have these very hard budget conversations. So I do know that the library requested level funding. Many of their programs are community-based, meaning that they came from a request from the community and a community member or a social service agency is leading the program but using the facility for that program. So I would ask that you reconsider and honor that level funding of the library in this year's budget. Thank you.
Are there others who would like to speak?
I'm Ruth Ann Rogers, and I'm a trustee of the library. I can't speak to a lot of things here today, but I would like to thank everyone who has supported the library. I think that it's important to know that the library does not spend the money willy-nilly. I think it's very well thought out. The employees of the library get their health insurance. The 2 full-time employees get their health insurance from the exchange. We do not pay for their health insurance because the money's going to other things. In the past, I've heard things about cut the programs, but most of those programs—
Can you just get closer to the microphone?
Most of the programs are funded through grants or they're just free. And I appreciate all of the work that the Select Board has done. I'd like to see the library and the Select Board work together throughout the year to solve this problem, because who wants to do this every year? I don't. And thank you. It's a good place. It brings people into the village. It brings people to the village so they could go, oh, I need something at MoCo or somewhere else in town. It's a vital, crucial thing for our community. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Molly Pease, and I'm speaking in favor of the library. I was a trustee for over 10 years. I'm a former librarian. I know what our librarians do for very, very little pay. And I have, in the past, seen the town work together with the library, especially when we were looking to put the town library or the town together with the library. The library was the one that put forth $80,000 for a plan because the town was not able to put forth that money. And the library took that hit when that vote was turned down. I do feel that our librarians work with very little, and they provide services from cradle to grave and across all classes. And I would like to see some compromise. if not reinstating the $80,000, then perhaps partial, like at least come together to make some of those ends meet for our community, because it is a gem of our community. Thank you.
Good morning, Kevin Stevenson, Elmore Mountain Road. My first question is, if I'm here, can I get dibs on 3 of the spots and in the summer rec program, like an early reservation? But as a raising 3 kids, 3 young kids in the town right now, just want to speak in support of the rec program. Right after Christmas is when my wife and I go into the stressful period of trying to figure out what the kids are going to do for the summer. Planning the summer 6 months in advance is terrible, and having the flexibility of the rec program and being able to always know that that's going to be an option is absolutely huge for us. So speaking in support of Gail and the work that's going to go into making that happen for the summer, thank you. Additionally, having moved to town before we had kids, and now many years into that, seeing how the library has grown and changed and expanded the number of incredibly high quality programs that they offer, and what that means for our kids, and again, having those options for after school, and the STEM programs and the craft programs have just been outstanding. It's much more than a library. It's a community hub. So thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And I'll just remind you, Monday night, there'll be a more elaborate presentation on the summer rec program.
Good morning, everyone. Oh, Sky, keeping the clock. Congrats on the game last night, you guys, JV. So, Allison Link, glad to see everyone here. And I'd love to talk to everybody just about vision of our town, vision with keeping in mind protective factors, what our town is about, the soul of our town, and that when making decisions, that's really important, that equity is really important to consider in everything that we do and we talk about. There's a Lamoille equity team. There's hopes for a lot of efforts related to equity. There's an ad hoc wellness committee that comes out of our town plan that many of us have worked on and now has a survey. And in particular, just with my Allison hat, mom in town, active community member, work for the Lamoille Family Center, but I'll keep on my personal hat right now. My involvement in recreation in the past 8-10 years in this town, and my desire for the select board and Brent to look at recreation in general again, not just about summer rec, which I'm very glad to see will continue, just as Kevin mentioned, but look at all the protective factors and what recreation and wellness are. We worked hard to get recreation funding back in this town. Many people in this room were part of that effort. There were $5,000. I don't know, Sarah, you can give the details. There was $5,000 that led to $10,000 back in the budget that led to hiring of a full-time recreation person. And whether or not how people feel about the efforts and how that went over time, it would be a step back to take the recreation funding and that director position completely out. Our town is comparable to so many other towns that have 5,000 or so people. We can handle this. This is for everyone, not just youth and families. This is for each of us to be in our town and have opportunities through recreation. And my time is up, but to really just consider protective factors and that recreation, libraries, all the ways our community comes together, that is so important to the fabric of who we are. Thank you.
Thanks.
My name is Jan Paris. I live here in Morristown, and I have 2 items I'd like to ask. And one is the library. If the town pays for the maintenance of the building, does the town own the building? And who pays for all the environmental costs for plumbing, heating, water, lights?
Can you turn off? Do you want to ask both questions and we'll answer them?
Sure. Okay, so the next one is not really, well, it is a question, and probably you will not be able to answer this, but the amount of money I believe that Mr. Raymond is holding back from the library in his current budget is about $80,000. And it was explained to me that there is a grant out there that is for $80,000. It's called Act 78. And some of the thought processes that have been going on from what I have read from the library trustees is, and I'm going to read this is a verbatim quote. Another consideration of ours is this: if we accept an $80,000 grant to cover what we feel the town should be paying for, what happens next year? Our bottom line will be $80,000 less than it currently is now. We're doubtful that they will ever bring us back to our current level. This kind of mentality to me is what we're seeing in our legislature in Montpelier and large corporations and things like this. I mean, I don't feel that this, where it says another consideration of ours. So I don't know if that's a person's feelings or if this is the entire board. But at any rate, to me, I think it's wrong mentality on their part. You know, they want us to pay another $80,000 and take money away from other folks that could be using that money in our town. And so it's kind of a selfish feel from what I'm getting.
Thank you.
So, Johan, that was a question and a statement. I'll respond to your question. Yes, the town does own the building. It is our building. And we do pay for the repairs on the building. For example, we put a new furnace in 2 years ago, I believe it was. It wasn't long after I got on the board that the furnace did fail and had to be repaired. In terms of utilities, the library pays the utilities.
Okay. Thank you, Don.
Are there... Tom?
Good morning. My name is Tom Cloutier. I'm a resident of Morristown.
Can you get closer to the mic?
All right. I would just like to give some figures out on what we're doing for the library. We are, in this budget, giving them $206,000. They have a $2.3 million endowment. They received $300,000 gift this year. And I don't know exactly what they did with that money, but they had that. And they're also working on a $150,000 grant. The library is not going to go bankrupt. It's not going to close because of this $80,000. There is ways for the library to get grants to cover whatever this $80,000 was going to go to. The library is very important for the town. We are taking care of it the best we can. Another little factor is the maintenance, roughly $10,000 that the town is paying for to take care of that building. So the library is being taken care of. We have plenty of other things to worry about in this town right now. We're not even talking about the grant list, which is going to influence. It's going to influence our taxes. That's all I do.
Mary Ann?
I have a little bit of a background in town budgets, and I'm in support of the library for sure. I thought I did. Mary Ann Wilson. So the ask is 80,000. The 280, but you're taking 80,000 out of what was. I just want to tell you that a penny on the grand list raises about $100,000. The library needs our attention. I think there's some kind of compromise between what the library needs and what the town can afford. Thank you.
Martin Green, Best Street. I was here last year on this day, and I'm going to share the same concern, ask the same question, basically, just to say that I think the local option tax There's 4 different kinds, could be used as additional sources of revenue, and they wouldn't really be burdensome on taxpayers because it's more of a kind of consumption tax. And then the question would be, is that being considered right now? If so, what might hold that up? Thank you.
Martin, in the last year, in the 2024 calendar year, certainly the local options tax was considered. And I think it's safe to say you were at many of those meetings when we were talking about the charter and we were talking about the local options tax. Local options tax is not part of this budget right now. The board will have an opportunity to revisit the local options tax. And I guess I'd just leave it at that. It's something that's certainly a possible conversation going into the future. It was interesting. I was stopped at Maple Fields this morning with the exact same question.
Maggie.
My name's Maggie Cleary. I am a Morristown resident, and I also work at the library. I am not qualified or allowed, really, to speak to specifics about the budget. But a couple people have brought up this grant that is floating around, and it is something that we are panically working on. The due date is at the end of January. It's not something that we originally would have thought we would be eligible for. It's a Vermont after-school grant. That is a state grant that is used for after-school programming. We are not an after-school program. We are a drop-in space. Most days it is one of us downstairs with a room full of kids with no expectation that we are watching them. They are coming and going as they please. I think that is also a very important part of our community, being a drop-in space, being a third space for kids and adults where they can feel welcome, where they're greeted when they arrive, where they have a comfortable, warm place to be in community. It's really important for our kids to learn how to be in community in a way that isn't under school grounds where they are more controlled and isn't in the home. That's a lot of the work that we do, is helping kids to have fun and enjoy being in community so that they will grow into citizens that care about being a part of a community. The grant is something that we are partnering with Damon Brink, who was running the community center, which was recently dropped by Lamoille Health Partners, which had been funding our teen center. The teen center, I know a lot of people without kids might not know about, but it is a really important drop-in space for kids after school ages 12 and up. Our community had about 15 to 25 middle school and early high schoolers per day dropping into this space until it was discontinued on December 20th with about a month's notice. No, we have a time thing? Okay. Well, if anyone wants to know more about that, it's like kind of a big deal. So,
Thanks, Maggie. Are there any other comments today?
Evelyn Throne, Morrisville. I do want to thank the board. I've been here only 3 years, but this is the most easy to understand budget. And it seems like a lot of things are being really well thought out. I appreciate the idea of roads and sidewalks being looked at holistically, not just, troubleshoot this, troubleshoot that, but looking at it as, let's fix it so it doesn't get worse so that we don't spend more later. I understand that's a hit on taxpayers. That's very difficult. I appreciate all the service organizations that are here. In my position in life now, I can volunteer for them, but different times in my life I've needed some of their services. And, human beings have a lot of things in their life. Life is long and weird, and we may all need these services or someone in our family. I appreciate this summer rec program. That just lifts my heart. I was really feeling despondent about that. I do think that we need to understand that, a lot of people have a lot of ideas with the library, but I think that they're a trustworthy organization, and they are saying what they need. And I do hope that there is some kind of a compromise there. That is one of the places that I took advantage of as a young mother, and it was invaluable to me. And like I said, we don't need a lot more retired people here. I mean, they're great, and I'm one of them, and I want to volunteer, and it's awesome. But we also need families to want to stay here. And I think the summer rec, the library, and some of these social service organizations that can make sure that people don't sink further, rather they get lifted up, are part of they're a fabric of our community, and I really love it here.
Thank you. Are there any other, we're getting close to 11 o'clock. Are there any other comments? Seeing none. I actually don't think we have to do a formal motion to adjourn. So thank you for everybody for being here. But before we leave, eat pie, drink coffee, visit with each other, and visit the tables. People will be here for a little while longer. And thank you to everybody who came. There is the raffle. Okay, so. All right, let's see who's going to win dog tag number 1.
First winner is Jason Vargo.
All right. And also, before you leave today, the soccer club will be wrapping pies to go home with you, and any donations are appreciated. Thank you to everybody who showed up today, and we will have next year's pie for breakfast on the second Saturday in January 10th, 2026, from 8 a.m. till noon. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.